who sometimes get labeled as being cheesy or all in. It's not so much that. It's they just have very good timings. And they want to go for timing attacks that they feel are very effective and want to maximize how effective they are just by pulling a lot of their workers. I think that's a better way to spin it. I should probably go into PR, shouldn't I?
Well, you could be like Naama's agent. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he doesn't all in. He just maximizes timing attack efficiency.
But it is true, though. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't just show up on ladder and go, okay, I'm going to try and do what Naama does, and I'm just going to pull SCVs and win every game. Herp derp. You'll find that you start losing games very, very quickly. The reason why Naama is so good at it is because he knows these timings inside out and knows when his opponents are weakest based on what their tech is choosing. He knows what kind of timings he needs to push across the map to get to his opponent's base when they're weakest, and he simply uses SCVs to make doubly sure that that point gets driven home. It's not a case of just randomly pulling. These are very, very carefully thought out timings here. And, well, so far, he's won a couple of games with it, and he's 3-1 up, so can't really complain, really.
No, he's definitely doing well, and if it wins you games, I guess there's no retort to that, hey, guess what, I'm winning, so it's all looking positive. Currently, Naama, he is just getting out of barracks, nothing else, which is always a good thing to see. Probably going to be a 1-Rax CC due to his mineral count. Meanwhile, Harstem, he's got 2 gas down, each with 2 probes in it, so this is going to be a very tech-heavy opening from him. Potentially a Stargate opening, just due to the map having a lot of dead space around it.
Yeah, that's a great point you make out there. Lots of dead space, especially out towards the 12 and 6 o'clock positions of this map. I'm actually really surprised Nick hasn't shown us the smiley face yet, which he loves to do at the start of every Star Station game. But you can see, look, down on the right-hand side, there's just so much space for air units to utilize, and it's really... Yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see airplay coming out of these players here.
The most confusing thing is if you ever looked at a medevac boosting over the dead space, because like Star Station is in space, it does my head in. Like there's just too much movement. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, because the stars are moving in the background as well.
Yep.
So you can actually, this is probably not the best map to play on if you get motion sick. To be perfectly honest, I can see how that would be a problem. Fortunately, though. We hope that people would be looking at their own bases as opposed to those of their opponent. Although in this case, it would help Harstem to take a look at the bases of Naama because we have a sneaky, sneaky 3rd command center going in on the top right. So this, like pros do not do this on a whim. This has to be metagame. Naama has to know that Harstem enjoys macroing up on this map, or perhaps that he doesn't scout as often simply because of how massive the distance of open ground he has to cover. And he is going for the hidden 3rd.
Well, it's also force cross spawns, as it tells you at the start in the chat, because that's an awesome feature. So that straight away means there's no chance that he'll just happen to look up that way, because he knows that it's only cross spawns. So he's going to come over and say,
yeah.
He's going to come over and be like, oh, he's made a command center. It's natural. That's fair enough. Okay. And at this early on, you wouldn't be expecting a base up there. Like it would be 1 game in 100, maybe even lower odds.
And it's important to note that, I mean, Harstem has not scouted at all. I wonder if Naama knows that Harstem typically doesn't scout on this map and then specifically had this strategy prepared here. I would not be surprised. These guys, of course, are teammates. They play with each other day in, day out. They know each other's strategies inside out. So this is the kind of information that Naama would be able to use against Harstem here. At the moment, it's not like it's completely... Oh yes, he's doing fantastically well just yet. He still needs to make that command center pay for itself. But once it's been mining for a couple of minutes and a couple of mules are dropped, that's when you really start to ramp up as far as that production is concerned.
Now, this Hallucinated Phoenix gave a good read that actually everything going really quite economical from what he's seen there. That the engineering base down, he's got the 2 gas, he's got the, I believe he didn't see the natural yet. So actually he hasn't seen very much. He just knows there's 2 gas and engineering bay. So that is the only scouting information available. There is also now a 3rd gas being taken at the hidden expansion. That is a really big thing to note because obviously this is something that Harstem has no clue about.
Very clever to take the gases at the hidden 3rd as opposed to his natural expansion there. So wanting to try and keep keep his opponent in the dark as much as possible, make it look like he's going less tech-heavy than he actually is. And I must say, the scouting path from that first Hallucinated Phoenix is weird. I would typically expect to scout over the natural before going into the main. But Harstem, once again with this Phoenix as well, going straight into the main, which means he won't be able to count the gases in the natural if these Marines get it. Okay, but good micro means that he will be able to live to fight another day. And yes, he will see the natural now.
But still, he sees the natural and sees that the third and fourth gas are being taken at the moment, but doesn't know actually it's 5 gases, which is...
No, he missed the fourth gas as well.
Did he? So he only knows there's 3 gas for sure, not the fact that it's now actually going up to 6 gases. That's a huge amount of tech available to Naama.
Yeah, you're completely right there. And the work account is going to start to show very shortly. It's 49 to 46 in favor of our Terran player at the moment, creeping up to 50 there. But he's making 3 SCVs at the same time. And don't forget, he has 3 orbital commands and 3 mules. Harstem, aside from those 2 early scouting Phoenixes, has done no scouting. He looks like he thinks he knows what the tech is because he managed to see... He's only seen a starport, a factory, and a barracks. He doesn't know that much about what Naama's going into in the late game, nor that he's going to have a ridiculously good economy behind it as well. Oh, and just as I say that,
he scouts it, he finds this hidden base. That is such a big win for Harstem, who can, to be honest, just go and kill that on a whim now, because it's completely undefended. There's no way that Naama is going to be easily able to get up there to stop any attack coming in. And frankly, he could move in with just a couple of zealots and really clean it out easily.
I didn't actually check if Naama saw that Harstem had the Hallucinated Phoenix fly over, but he is now going to have to do a little bit of damage. We see a single Zealot walking in there now, and that's going to be really frustrating to deal with because there are no units anywhere close for Naama. He's got a medevac with a couple of Hellbats, once again moving out towards the south of the map, but here we go. The third base is being attacked now.
Oh, the Zealot! That Michael is amazing, bugging out the AI on that Zealot, meaning that the SCVs will get a kill. Harstem only managed to kill 3 SCVs. That was the best worker trade for units I think I have ever seen.
Really, really nice stuff there. Another medevac with 2 Hellbats now moving out towards the top location, and this time 2 Zealots are being sent. I feel like Harstem's going, okay, you have passed level 1. Now we try level 2. Double the Zealots. And this time around, though, I think Naama's going to find it significantly more difficult to deal with. The Hellbats are not turning around to defend it.
It definitely seems like it should be a minigame. Like, next go, there's going to be 2 Zealots and a Stalker. And then it slowly builds up until eventually, like, you get to round 9,000, where it's just 50 Colossi or something moving.
We have 2 Hellions coming in to try and battle the Zealots, while the main base and the natural are under siege from these Hellbats at the moment. Oh no! Picking up the Hellbats just as the Photon Overcharge completely and utterly decimates that mineral line. And these Hellbats are frantically trying to get some worker kills and, managing to succeed there for a couple. But these 2 cannons will be too much. Number of workers, 59 to 57. Still in Naama's favor, but he's struggling so hard to keep this top right base alive.
I'm amazed how long he's kept it up, though. Like, to be fair, considering how long ago it was scouted, if Harstem just actually committed and sent over a few more units, he'd be easily able to take it out. So maybe we'll be seeing level 3 shortly. Perhaps we're going to see an Immortal, maybe a High Templar go with the Zealots this time.
Yeah, that could be good. We have got Storm, of course, on the way now, and this is a significantly large army moving out across the top of the map. These 2 Hellions, Blue Flame, are not going to be a challenge. And Zealot actually crucially seeing this group of Hellions.
Yeah, the Hellions coming up. That could have been such a good opportunity for Naama, should Harstem have committed to moving over to try and take out that hidden third. But suddenly, that was a really great force field.
Oh dear, and the Zealots actually getting a lot of purchase on those Hellions there. They effectively did no economic damage. That is not what Naama would have wanted. And Harstem is now ahead 66 to 59 workers. He should probably head over to the top. He's actually sending a single Zealot again, so we've gone back to level 1 over here on the top right, just continuously harassing, trying to prevent mining time while keeping his army at home in case there's an all-in coming. He needs a little bit more map vision.
He does need a bit more map vision. Currently, Naama has complete map dominance, to be fair. He's moving out with a very sizable force of tanks, Hellions, and a few Marines. This is going to be very difficult to hold off. Although the Immortal count, not too bad. A third one about to pop out. A fourth already in production. We've got the Archon as well. That's going to help altogether. The Hellions at the left watch have been taken out, and now 4 Zealots coming over. SCVs, I don't think you're going to do this.
No, this is going to be a pretty difficult situation. An Archon and an Immortal to try and fend off those... Ooh, I don't know what that storm was for. I mean, those Hellions were always going to be faster. But look at the number of tanks that are in this army for Naama. A lot of Hellbats being morphed in from those Hellions as well. And a troop of Marines to boot. This is a very serious attack. Third base is, of course, notoriously difficult to hold on Star Station. And Naama's third is forced to lift in the top right-hand corner, but has the economic damage already been done? The tanks are sieging up. Great storm, but siege mode is looking to completely rain hell down on this third base.
Siege mode is a good unit, you might say, and of course those tanks can just start leapfrogging forward. There are some Immortals there, which are really the best option you've got against siege tanks, but just so many siege tanks that are really doing a nice job. Zealots are coming in though, and they do have charge, so they can close off the distance quite nicely. Yeah, no Marines to deal with that, so this was a really, really nice takedown there by Harstem.
We needed to see some of the Marines, and 2 random tanks not the Watchtower, by the way, but we needed to see the Marines and the Hellbats not charge forward into the third base. That was the crucial mistake that Naama made there. All he needs to do is keep the tanks slightly behind them and keep the Marines and Hellbats out of harm's way. You need to preserve them so that they can tank damage so that the siege tanks can deal it out. As a result, naked siege tanks, when you are up against charge lots and Immortals, really not that great a choice. And Naama just splitting his army a bit too much there.
Yeah, it was a bit of an overcommitment running in there, but yeah, all in all, these Hellions now desperately just trying to buy a bit more time. The Immortals, though, waddling forwards, just scuttling across the ground. Have you noticed that the move of an Immortal is nearly identical as that of a Widow Mine, just bigger?
Ah, that's an interesting point. No, I've never noticed that.
This economic crisis, it's causing the animators in Blizzard to cut corners and just reuse things.
That might well be true. These Hellions are trying to do as much damage as possible in the center of the map because, frankly, Naama is in a position where he does not want Harstem moving out against him. He knows that that army is very, very difficult and expensive to replace.
Feedback.
Oh, no, not quite. That medevac is going to live to fight another day. Has it been spotted? Maybe it wasn't spotted, actually. He's now moving in towards the back up the base. Fourth base also under attack by a couple of Hellions as well. But Naama coming in with the drop. 2 Hellbats popping by. And yes, we have the feedback from that High Templar. And it looks like
the third base is where the action is, though. So many Hellions here. Blue Flame just ripping through probes in total now. Naama has managed to kill 18 workers, so that's not actually too bad.
Yeah, so 18 workers killed to 11, though, this game. Not exactly the kind of overwhelming number you want to be seeing. The number of workers that are still available, 66 to 52 in Harstem's favor, and he's got some Tempests now out as well. That's going to help a lot against siege tanks, because he'll be able to snipe them off from a distance. And hey, Naama's going a lot of siege tanks, so let's see if this works.
Well, there's a good number of Tempests already out with 3 on the field, another one on the way. There's a good number of Stargates with 4 available, but basically Harstem just doesn't have the money to pump out from all of those and warp-in units, so he's got to prioritize where his gas goes. But all in all, these Tempests are going to do a very nice job if he can engage well. But the tank's sieged up by the Watchtower. Vision needs to be granted. There is 2 observers there, but a missile turret coming down. 3, actually. That is really, really nice.
All right, so what? Okay, Harstem basically needs to keep this 4th base alive until the Tempest get here can start picking off the tanks, and that's exactly what's going to happen now. The Tempest are revealed. Are they going to go straight to work on the siege tanks? Yes, they are, and they are going to have to get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah, that is the end of that push. Harstem does now have a secured 4th base. In terms of his working count, he's up to 71 now, so that's really, really nice for him. He just needs to saturate this 4th and just really start plowing on. Meanwhile, Naama, he's stuck on 3 bases, but the important thing is his 3rd base is going to be a lot less mined out due to the fact that he had the top right base for so long, and that really did help him. So, as it currently stands, upgrades are at 3-2. And 3-2 on both sides. Very, very equal there. +1 air weapons is, though, complete for Harstem.
This is looking like Harstem has the temporary advantage here with those Tempests, and all of a sudden the tanks from Naama are looking just a little bit embarrassed there. He's getting some Thors out, but don't forget the Thors first have to get within range of the Tempest, and I believe Thors are a massive unit, so these Tempests could potentially do a lot of damage to these Thors from afar, rather.
Yeah, they could do, but no, actually they won't, because of course Tempest only do bonus damage to air.
Massive unit, that's right. At some point in the beta, they did damage to all massive units, didn't they?
Yeah, that was pretty.
I'm trying to remember the beta station. The beta changes now.
They also did splash damage to air at one point as well, didn't they? If I recall correctly.
Yes, that's. Oh wow, that was a while ago. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was pretty ballsy. But yes, what we've got
Will
now,
Thors be effective though? Like they still have. I mean, they have a decent range, but
high
the
impact
Tempest.
payload.
Yes, he'll have to use that, and he'll have to try and get as close as possible. It's going to be very difficult.
It is going to be very, very difficult. It's not ideal by any means, and of course the Thor count not even that high, only 4 out up against 10 Tempest. So that in itself is a big advantage for Harstem, but Harstem, he's just happy playing the macro up game. He's just getting a 200 of 200 army, but then Naama also is nearly maxed out and will be very shortly. Getting a good number of Vikings just in order to try and deal with those Tempests as best as he can.
Yeah, he needs to try and take these Tempest out before they completely destroy a siege line. Those siege tanks, very, very important at the moment to keeping the army of Harstem at bay. So as soon as he neutralizes the Tempest, he's going to feel relatively safe on the ground with so many tanks. But until he does that, it's going to be very difficult. And here we go.
Well, the Storms are going down nicely. The Tempest getting some good shots off on those Vikings. The Vikings desperate to get in range of those Tempests. And well, this is just a full-on engagement. The Thors, some of them in high-impact payloads, some of them unfortunately not. But the tanks on the ground unsieged, so not to splash everything of their own. But the ground battle is going very much in Naama's favor.
Yup, and that was always going to be the danger here. The Tempest doing so much damage. The Thors trying to get within range, not able to at the moment. The Tempest surviving by... Actually, all of them surviving quite well there. The Thor's just unable to get a word in edgeways, and now we're seeing units trying to get sniped off by these Tempests. Done there, picking off a few more Thors.
Yeah, exactly what Harstem needs to be doing here. Naama, he's moving forward though, and only the Tempests are there, but the anti-air really, really lacking at the moment for Naama. He's got 5 Vikings out, but 3 of them are not over with his army yet. They are rallied, and of course the Tempest, with just such an insanely long range, can snipe them off from afar.
Yep, they definitely can, and it looks like that's what's happening at the moment. They're trying to pick apart the Vikings first, so the Vikings doing a good job of delaying those Tempest shots out on the Thor, but here we go. The Thor is slowly getting whittled down now. Needs to be very, very careful. Vikings getting taken out. How many Tempests are left? 6 at the moment, and yes, Naama is forced back.
Yeah, those 6 Vikings, a lot of them though armed with the army. That's the real big problem. The reinforcements are streaming across, but Naama did manage to knock out the 4th base. So that in itself is quite a win, because it now means they're both mining off of 3 bases. But this is the big thing. Naama cannot keep going with this army for too long. And Envision even going down on all of these tanks, giving great knowledge to Harstem about what's going on.
Oh, that's so useful right now. I mean,
it also means that he's got vision for the Tempest to use their entire range.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. He might be able to come in and try and snipe something, and that's why that scan just went down from Naama. Wants to make sure... Oh, never mind, we have Hellions in the natural. Really nice warp in there, trying to block a lot of those Hellions and confuse the air, managing to do so quite brilliantly. And the number of workers killed from Naama has gone all the way up to 47. So finally, some of the harassment doing a lot of damage here, but still not quite enough. I mean, Naama on 56 to 66 workers of Harstem here, and his 4th is about to come back up.
Well, the Vikings are trying to engage in the center of the map, but the Tempests are having none of this. They are just destroying everything very, very effectively in the air. And yet again, Naama is forced back. The Hellions are doing some nice damage, but the probes, I've never actually seen the probes engage head-on with Hellions.
Wow.
That is, at this stage of the game.
That's ballsy, man.
They won the fight as well.
That is very, very ballsy. Congratulations to those probes. I'm not sure I would be up for going up in a fight against Hellions if I was a probe, but it looks like they managed to do it.
Now, the Tempests are still just flying around perfectly happy. There are 9 on the field, 2 more on the way. Those Hellions are taking a lot of damage. Like, that is overkill if I ever saw it.
It really is. But it's also really good, though, I want to say, that Naama's continuing to use those Hellions medals, because even though he didn't have very much success harassing in the early game, most of his worker kills have come from later on, when Harstem maybe is no longer expecting those Hellion run-bys to occur. True, the worker count for Harstem is still quite huge, but Naama is just continuing to kill workers wherever possible, and I think it's really good that he's keeping that up.
Well, especially in the late game as well, because it is not uncommon to see even pro players get saturated in the mid-game, and get to their worker count they want, and then if they lose workers, to just flat out forget to remake enough of them. That's not an uncommon thing to see.
And the other big problem, I think, in this situation for Naama is that it's at the 27-minute mark battles, and he's just put down his 4th base. So yeah. He was hoping to try and end the game significantly earlier with that tank push, possibly the first one. They got completely bounced back. And it feels like he's a little bit less prepared now going into the late game. And I feel like Harstem is I mean, he hasn't won this game by any stretch of the imagination, don't get me wrong, but it feels like he's getting into his stride a little bit. His play feels a lot more confident. He's taking more expansions. He's feeling, he's a lot more maneuverable with his army. His map vision is starting to get better and better. He's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, well, ultimately, Naama's never seen a game go on this long. Usually he's pulled all his SCVs by now. He's confused. That's why his army's just running around in circles. He's just like, when do I pull the SCVs? But no, he's still looking quite good.
Is this game 7? Yeah. They're just all melding together.
Yeah. I'm sure he couldn't get at this point. I've got a 200 of 200 army. What do I do with it now? Like, where are the SCVs?
Oh,
but yes, the Vikings coming in.
He needs the Vikings to do a lot of damage. Medevac getting sacked at the front there. These Vikings need to come in pretty soon because these Tempests are pretty large in number. And here we go. Coming in. Wow. Picking apart the Tempest very quickly there. 1, 2. Almost a third one going down very quickly. Dodging those storms very, very well. And a couple of Thors with high impact payload having a say as well. But the Tempest continually whittling away the siege tech bows on overcharge. Going down on the next. The Vikings splitting up into 3, 4 distinct groups. But the largest group gets hit by a massive storm. Can Harstem hold on?
There's some more beautiful storms going down, and as we can see, this is doing a tremendous amount of damage. All the Vikings have pretty much been cleaned out. Still 7 Tempests remain. Those storms were absolutely clutch.
Yeah, those storms were ridiculous. I mean, if Naama Mike could back out of those storms, the Vikings would have just killed the Tempest.
Yep.
I reckon that was simply the case. And as I watched the hit points on those Vikings whittle themselves down, I was like, this cannot be happening. But it did. And Harstem has held. The Tempest were enough. The High Templar. What amazing storms there. And yes, Naama could have done more to defend against it. But Harstem, at the end of the day, did what needed to be done.
And he is now looking to be in a nice spot. Some Hellions have done damage to the third. Now Naama has killed 68 workers this game. That is absolutely sensational. But Harstem, he is moving his army forward. He is ready to take out this fourth base, which is essential to Naama's continuing play in this game.
This is incredible. The supplies are virtually identical, 162 to 166 supply at the moment, with Harstem still having a lead in the work account. But Naama just hasn't found an adequate solution yet to this combination of Tempest and High Templars. And it's absolutely amazing the way Harstem is able to take a situation where it looks like he was going to lose and then overwhelmingly win. And here come the Vikings once again against the Tempest. They're engaging. We need to see the Archons get in on the action as well. And the fourth base is now under siege. Naama has to either give up this fourth or do something very quick. And he's actually moving away, but he can't afford to do that.
No, his income is going to get so badly hit here. He's mined out at the third, all but 1 mineral patch, which is now gone. This is not good for Naama, whose income in terms of minerals is now dropped to basically 0. His gas income also considerably lower, but the Tempest fleet is moving forward.
And here we go. It looks like Naama wants to engage because he knows how bad the situation could potentially be for him. Running through and into a couple of storms there as well. He can't be doing this indefinitely as long as there are energy left on those High Templars, but actually there isn't a single storm left with this army right now. Naama starting to give chase, but Harstem will be able to remax.
This game is becoming absolutely epic. I think that's the only fair thing to say. We've seen some great engagements so far, back and forth all the way, but I've got to give credit to Naama just for his relentless harassment of worker lines with those Hellions. And finally, that has actually resulted in him pulling ahead in the worker count. The Vikings sniping off a couple of Tempests here as best they can, a few on their lonesome, but the High Templar are still threatening storms.
That's right, and the Thors are in the back of this army. I mean, yes, okay, those Tempests are reasonably slow, but they can come in and try and snipe off as much of it as they can. Need to be very careful, and here they go to work. The Vikings are completely out of position. A couple of tanks and Thors going down before anything happens. A great storm up on a lot of those Vikings, and now the Tempest going to work as well. It's not going to be enough. The remainder of the Vikings are going down at this point. GG! And in a 34-minute game, Harstem pulls one back to make sure that Naama doesn't run away with it.